Alrighty, guys. So you guys want to get shredded, you want to get lean, you want to be looking good. You want your physique to look good. You want to have a six pack, whatever, bro. Obviously, lean is law. So, so I'm gonna be showing you guys how you can actually like optimize your metabolism to run efficiently, so that you're not in a constant state of fat storage. Okay, that's basically it, honestly. And showing you guys like misconceptions and like what you actually have to do, giving you guys a clear protocol for it. Okay, so first up, calories in, calories out is a complete myth. Okay. As animals, we consume mass, not calories. Calories are a heat measurement. Okay. So, calories are measured in a closed thermodynamic system, whereas our bodies are chemically, like whereas our bodies process food chemically. Okay. So, calories have no relevance whatsoever in any biochemical process. All right. They just basically don't exist. Like they're just a facade in our body. Okay. Because calories have no resting mass, and it's very it's very difficult to actually quantify energy expenditure. Okay. And calories is like the worst measurement you could use. All right. And the reason why people think that high calorie foods make you fat is because a lot of them do. Like when they test the calories in foods, it's a lot of the time foods that make you fat, right? Because they just mess up your metabolism so much. Okay, and it's not because of calories at all, because they're completely irrelevant. Okay, that's just what you need to get through your head. Okay, so most fat storage is because of metabolic disruption. Okay, metabolic dysfunction basically, and this is because when your metabolism is inefficient, it's in storage mode. Okay, because you can't process energy efficiently without byproducts, without storage. It's not proper. It's not optimized. Okay, so this is why seed oils make you fat. Okay, it's not because they like store in your body in random tissues, and they just live there, but it's because they disrupt your metabolism so much that they make you put on fat. Okay, and this is because of a few reasons. The first being deuterium. It's a type of hydrogen isotope. All right, it's heavy. It slows your mitochondrial nanomotors, the engines, the machines that make your energy. All right, so this is going to accumulate, and seed oils are very high in this, especially the refined ones like this, like can be up to 280 parts per million. But humans, we need optimally around like 130, 120 to 130 parts per million in our food, in our body. Okay, so this is going to heavily accumulate in our mitochondria. Okay, omega 6 is going to cause a lot of inflammation and slow down your metabolism, and lipid peroxides are just going to attack your mitochondria, okay, and just make them dysfunctional. So what we need to do is cut out seed oils, any extracted oils, because those are all going to be very high in linoleic acid, okay. Things like olive oil, okay, avocado oil, especially when cooked. In moderation, these two are not entirely, they're not incredibly bad, but there's just no benefit to having them. Like if you go out to a restaurant, right, and they have some extra virgin olive oil and some steak tartare, it's not incredibly bad for you to eat that, but it's just not completely optimal. But if you're if something is cooked in seed oils, absolutely fucking avoid that at all costs. Okay, if something has canola oil, any seed oils, vegetable oils on it, absolutely fucking avoid that, because that's extremely high in lipid peroxides and extremely high in deuterium. So basically, cut out all extracted oils that have a high linoleic acid content. I think, yeah, coconut oil is fine. It's very high in saturated fat, even more so than animal fat. Okay, it just doesn't have much nutrition. Okay, and cut out nuts, seeds, legumes. These are all too high in omega 6, so um, just horrible. And it's gonna oxidize easily. It's gonna make your mitochondria leak electrons because it's not stable. And when it builds up in your lipid bilayers, your mitochondrial membranes, this makes it weak, makes it leak electrons, okay, makes your metabolism inefficient. All right, so avoid seed oils, any like thing high in omega 6, okay? Really, you should avoid anything, any foods, any fat that is like more than like 2% linoleic acid, okay, which is an omega 6. So, yeah. And then you also want to like cut out carbs. Like, there are a lot of personal trainers that get hated on for saying carbs make you fat. And I can kind of disagree that carbs make you fat. Like they don't, you don't eat a carb and you become fat, but it's definitely one of the leading causes, carb overconsumption, because insulin is a direct like growth factor basically. It promotes fat storage because it makes tissues take up fat and glucose together and store it. So it just directly promotes fat storage, okay? And the more you spike your insulin, the more you have it chronically upregulated, the more this is going to slow fatty acid breakdown, so slow um, the breakdown of fat storage, okay? So you're just going to be putting on more, right? And the more it's going to stop your autophagy, which is similar, but cell recycling, okay? And basically, yeah, insulin is just going to make you fat if you chronically upregulate it. So cut out carbs. If you spike it, it's going to make you fat, okay? Cut out sugar, carbs, whatever. And at the same time, carbs are going to keep you in like this insane hunger cycle, okay? It's going to be never-ending food cravings. Because insulin, when it's spiked, it's going to block transport of a hormone called leptin, which is your satiety hormone, which keeps you satiated. So when your insulin is spiked or chronically upregulated, your leptin is not going to reach the brain. You're not going to feel satiated, okay? This leads to binge eating, chronically snacking, okay? Going back to get more food because you don't feel satiated. This is why you can eat a shit ton of fruit and have enough glucose to sustain your energy, enough fructose as well, but you're not satiated because your insulin has just been spiked heavily, okay? And your leptin's blocked, okay? So you're just gonna eat hella more than you need to, all right? And it's gonna lead to fat storage more often. You wanna especially avoid pairing sugar with fat because it's going to basically compete. Both of them are gonna compete for each other for metabolism. They're gonna compete with each other. And they're just gonna lead to storage because it makes the metabolism super inefficient. It blocks a lot of mitochondrial enzymes like insulin does and fat breakdown does, like fatty acid metabolism. Beta oxidation byproducts block enzymes for glycolysis, and then the same for the other way. So it's just going to lead to more fat storage, and pairing the two like creates the perfect substrate for fat storage as well. So yeah, just avoid doing that at all costs. If you cut out carbs, you won't have this issue, but if you're going to eat some carbs, just don't do this early. All right, and this goes back to insulin. If you're chronically like snacking or chronically eating very frequently, like your day looks like this, like you eat breakfast, you have a snack, you eat lunch, you have a snack, you eat dinner, you have a bedtime snack, okay? I know a lot of people eat like this, even if their diet's quite good, they can be quite unhealthy because like even if I know a lot of people like this, like even if what they're eating is very good, they can have a meal timing like this and still be quite unhealthy, okay? So this is because your insulin looks like this all day, all right? It's chronically upregulated. You're never letting it drop. So you're never letting ketones be used. You're never letting fat breakdown actually happen, okay? You're always going to be in constant fat storage mode. So, and you're never going to be satiated as well because it's going to block leptin constantly. And this is why you constantly eat as well. All right, so your day should look like this, okay? So you eat once a day in the afternoon or evening, and then or you eat twice a day, where you eat like late morning or early afternoon, and then you eat one more meal. And it's very important that I have to tell this to a lot of people in my community, a lot of people in my audience, that you don't, if you're trying to lose weight, that you don't drink milk like constantly like it's water, okay? Because this is just, again, because milk is food, it's not just pure hydration, it's actually food. It actually gives you some substrate for energy, macronutrients. It gives you fatty acids, it gives you protein, it gives you glucose. So it's going to raise your insulin. And when you're drinking 2 liters of milk and you're sipping on it every 5 minutes, your insulin literally just looks like this. And it should be like this. So you eat, stable bump, goes down for the rest of the day, and then maybe one more, and then down. But it literally just looks like this, okay? And this is just chronic fat storage mode, okay? This is why a lot of people, they hop on Primal, and they're like, why am I gaining weight? Because you're fucking eating constantly, maybe. So drink water. If you want to drink milk, drink it with the meal. Or I would recommend to like make your digestion better, drink it like 1 hour before your meal. That'll allow the digestion, like your acid, stomach acid to reset, your gastric juices. And then also the glucose to be metabolized properly so you don't activate the renal cycle. And then you eat your meal and your digestion's good. And then you don't eat for the rest of the day. As long as you eat within like a 3 hour period, I think you're fine. Um, if you're eating once a day. If you're eating twice a day, I would maybe do like 1 hour periods, just to make sure your insulin isn't like upregulated for a long time. Okay. And then what you're gonna lock in next is your light environment and seasonal eating. Okay, so you have to match what you're eating to your light environment because this is what your metabolism and your hormones are adapted to. Okay, it's what all your cells are adapted to. All right, because they get signals from the environment. Okay, so this is because your light directly signals to hormones, to different tissues, to activate different things. Okay, so for example, ghrelin, insulin, leptin are the relevant ones here to fat storage. So ghrelin is hunger hormone, insulin is kind of like metabolism, metabolic hormone, I guess, and leptin is your satiety hormone. Okay, so ghrelin and leptin are kind of opposites, all right? And insulin blocks leptin, and insulin blocks leptin, okay? So when you're in the light, when you're in a high light environment, so for example, it's summer or you live in the tropics, all right? Nitric oxide production is going to be upregulated and your blood vessels are going to look like this. They're going to be dilated, okay? And when vasodilation goes up, insulin sensitivity also improves, okay? So your glucose handling is going to be much better, all right? And your protein uptake is going to be much better and your metabolism is just going to be more efficient overall. So your fat storage is going to be way less because your insulin sensitivity is much better. Your glucose handling is going to be much better, okay? So this is why you need to eat during the daytime, all right? Because that's when your body is literally prepared for metabolism, okay? If you're eating during the night, at the same time, insulin rises, melatonin drops, okay? Because they're antagonistic. So you're gonna mess up your sleep as well as putting on more fat because your insulin sensitivity is bad at night when there's low light, okay? This is another reason why in the tropics, if you eat fruit or if you eat some kind of sugar, like you put on a lot less fat and you reap a lot less of the detriments of sugar consumption because you're just more adapted to it. And this is what I was just saying here. So what's healthy for you is dependent on your climate. So with sun, your mitochondrial redox rate is better. You don't leak as many electrons. Your insulin sensitivity is better. You can handle glucose way better, and just your metabolism is way more prepared for glucose consumption and fructose as well. So there's not as much damage, not as much damaging byproducts produced, and it's much more efficient so you don't get as much fat storage, okay? When you give your body artificial light signals, it's keeping you hungry because you're supposed to be eating during the day. This is why light directly affects ghrelin, okay? So in the stomach, you release ghrelin, and when you're exposed to light on your body, in your eyes, through your brain, you release more ghrelin, it keeps you hungrier, okay? So if you're trying to lose weight, you need to be eating less frequently, like I already said, but not to a point of starvation. Obviously, you need to be eating to satiety fully. If you're out at night and you're exposed to hella artificial light, you're just gonna get hungrier and you're gonna want to eat again when you don't even need to, okay? You're giving your body mismatched signals. That's what's leading to fat storage, okay? And light also reduces leptin sensitivity. So at the same time, the same time as your ghrelin's gonna be high, your leptin's gonna be low, okay? And this is just gonna like double up on hunger, okay? So you're gonna be way more hungry, you're gonna eat more frequently, okay? You're gonna keep insulin high, you're gonna promote more fat storage, okay? So that's basically it, guys. That's what's making you fat, and that's how to fix it, okay? You can also incorporate some exercise, but I think these are the main things, really. Like, I don't really exercise at all, and when I want to, I get quite lean. Like, I'm quite lean right now. I'm probably like 14% body fat, 14. Yeah, I don't really exercise much at all, really. So I would probably be much leaner if I exercised, but I think the main thing you need to do is optimize your metabolism and your light, which is the same thing. And yeah, if you're going to the exercising on top of this, building muscle, you absolutely can build muscle on this because you're not going to be malnourishing yourself like everyone does when they try to get lean. So it's not going to interrupt your muscle building at all. You don't need carbs to build muscle as well. I don't know why I'm talking about building muscle. This is a fat loss, getting lean thing. But anyway,